Congratulations. Was it worth it? Because despite your violent behavior, the only thing you've managed to break so far is my heart. Maybe you could settle for that and we'll just call it a day. I guess we both know that isn't going to happen. You chose this path. Now I have a surprise for you. Deploying surprise in 5, 4...
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're trying out a new series I'm going to call Throwback, kind of, I don't know. Just going to start talking about some old stuff that I really like and, you know, series that used to mean something to me, whether it's games, movies, TV, anything. And we're going to start it off with my favorite game series of all time, which is Portal. So I'm really excited to talk about Portal 1 and 2, Portal 1 being today, obviously, and Portal 2 hopefully next week, aiming for Thursday, but if not Thursday, then, you know, on the weekend on like Saturday or something like that. Thank you all so much for the support over the last few days with all the new videos, the new content, everything that's coming out. I really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's jump right into this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video. It means a lot, and it really, really helps out. Thanks again. Take care. Catch you in the next one, and I hope you enjoy this Portal retrospective thoughts review sort of thing. Yeah, here we go. I'm a strong believer that Portal, and the series as a whole, not just Portal 1, is not only unique in style and its immersive design, but is also the perfect blend of puzzle solving and storytelling. It's worth noting going into this video that I, as I said in the intro, am very biased towards Portal. It is my favorite series, but it's also worth noting that I enjoy Portal 2 significantly more than Portal 1. Not to say I don't love Portal 1, I think it's an astounding game and I think everyone should play it. But I tend to enjoy the tone and storytelling in Portal 2 a lot more than I do in the original. And we'll get into that more later on in the video, but I think that's worth talking about to start this out. Now, funnily enough, going back to Portal after all this time, I find myself almost surprised by the fact that whenever I discuss Portal, and I even see other people discuss Portal online, I tend to notice them discuss more the themes and style that is brought up in its sequel, Portal 2. Whereas Portal 1, I feel like, is so distinctly different than that. And I know that's because Portal 2, it had a bigger budget, it had a bigger cast, it had a different vibe it wanted to go for. But Portal 1, I don't know why I couldn't seem to remember this, but it stands so distinctly different. It is more of a thriller, in my opinion, than its sequel is. Its sequel is most certainly built upon this idea of sort of ambient comedy, sci-fi comedy. Almost imagine watching 2001: A Space Odyssey. You know, you're going through these really, you know, white paneled puzzle rooms, and it's very quiet, and you're there thinking, trying to solve things in Portal 2, and then you have, you know, humorous jokes from the different announcers that are in the game, or different little funny moments that come up. It's a nice mix of ambient storytelling with comedy, and even very heartfelt emotional moments. But Portal 1 is not that game. Portal 1 is an art house film. Portal 1 has this sense of dread about it that Portal 2 doesn't exactly capture. It has moments of it for sure, but Portal 1 stands on it and even thrives in this idea of you do not understand what's going on. You are in a PG version of Saw, almost, to an extent. You are caught in these traps, you don't know who's watching you, you don't know why you're doing them, you don't know why you're here, you just know that you are here to test because the lady on the intercom tells you to. And that sense of unease is really where Portal 1, I think, stands strong. The puzzles are great, but they're not as good as the sequel. And the puzzles are a little more straightforward and can feel a lot simpler. And without some of the snappy, whippy dialogue that happens in the sequel, Portal 1, when going back to it, can feel kind of flat. So the thing that keeps it really going over the years for me is the ambiance and, again, sense of dread that you get when you're playing the game. This is only pushed forward by things like the Ratman tunnels and the Ratman hide holes, where there's the scrawling writings on the wall, the cake is a lie. All these things stand as a testament to how Portal 1 began its vision of being this interesting ambient puzzle game. That's just absolutely incredible. This is only pushed forward, in my opinion, by the fact that the puzzles are incredibly fun to solve and gratifying. Whether it's your first time through the game or your 20th, they help push the narrative forward, and they slowly help the player become more adept at handling the portal gun. It's a smart way of slowly using the narrative to train the player to be better at the game. Not a lot of games do this. It's a mindset that was, originally referenced all the time by people talking about Super Mario Brothers and old school platformers that kind of just throw you into the game and let you experiment. Portal does this very well, of teaching you little things. You're going through this aperture science training process, you're testing for the company, and it uses that gameplay model to push a narrative forward and shape the player's experiences within the game, so that when you reach these final puzzles and big story moments in the game, you feel prepared for them, and you feel excited to be there, you feel capable, you feel trained, because you literally are. Training and going through puzzles in white room after white room after white room can almost drive you a little bit crazy. Something feels off, something feels wrong. Kind of like that uncanny valley feeling you get when you're having a nightmare. It feels so real, but something is just off, something is wrong, and you can't tell what it is. Whether it's the announcer's voice cutting in and out, odd audio things happening, getting put into a test that you don't feel prepared for, sudden ramps up of difficulty, going from moving blocks onto little, circular objects to literal death traps at times. It feels weird. You wonder why exactly you're here and what's going on. And this is only brought forward by the amazing performance from Ellen McLain. I truly stand by my opinion that one of the best voice acting performances ever, if not the best, I think there's definitely a case for it, is Ellen McLain's performance as the, I'll say the announcer in Portal 1, or I'll say mild spoiler here, skip ahead like 15 seconds if you're worried about, learning specific things, but talking about GLaDOS the android, her performance in this game as GLaDOS is absolutely astounding. I utterly adore her performance. The announcements she does and how they start off, kind of tame and hello, welcome to the facility, blah, 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 blah. And they slowly start to have these, little toxic jabs here and there, and you wonder why this is happening. And then by the end, just full-blown madness and psychosis. It's so impressive and it's so well done. There's a specific part, I can't remember the exact joke, where she makes a joke about base 10. She says like an incorrect calculation and then goes, in base 10, I'm fine. And it's that small little crack, that pristine image, the white walls, the perfect scientific experiment slowly cracking apart until you reach this giant booming climax that's maddening, crazy, intense. This game absolutely thrives on that and is absolutely a game that I think will stand the test of time forever, no matter how old it is, because of that experience. And that's what's so tough for me to even go back and talk about Portal, not just because of my bias, but because of the fact that, I almost don't want to talk about the game. I almost just want to put it in people's hands and be like, play this. Please just pick this up and play it. You have no idea what you're missing out on. It's just astoundingly good. And that's not even beginning to talk about the fact that by playing Portal 1, it's a great jumping off point to then say, oh, do you really like this? Is this the kind of game you enjoy? Do you want this to be a bigger, more polished experience? Play Portal 2, which is absolutely fantastic. If there's one complaint I have about Portal 1 versus Portal 2, I think that it ramps up in difficulty with the puzzles a little too quickly. I know some of that's, again, constrained budget. If I remember correctly, Portal was a student's college project for senior year, and then they got hired by Valve to make it a full game. I heard that story once. I don't know if that's actually true, but I've always found it interesting. And you can kind of see that when you play Portal 1. It's a smaller game. Again, like I said, art house film. It wasn't made on a huge budget, but what it does really well, and it's very polished in that sense, but it's not expanded upon. Limited time, limited resources means, when they want to start doing the harder puzzles and want to ramp up things from normal little puzzles, like I said earlier, to the death traps and stuff like that, there's a sudden jump. Whereas when you get to that point in Portal 2, it has more time, it has more budget, it has more space, not only narratively, but level design wise, to slowly inch things forward and to, add in new ideas here and there and not try and throw too much at you at once. I find going back to Portal 1, it to be challenging going through the game, even though I know the answers to the puzzles, because I find myself going, oh, this puzzle's after this one? That feels so soon. That feels too fast. It's kind of odd going back to it. Some of that may be the fact that I'm so used to Portal 2, and I tend to enjoy it more, but I do find it weird going back to Portal 1 and being like, really? Test 11 is this one? I could have swore this one was later. Things like that, it just kind of surprises me, especially on a revisit, having known the puzzles, having done things before. Now, one of the things I do like Portal 1 for, I don't want to say more than Portal 2, both of them are distinct, is its ending. I think Portal 2 has a phenomenal ending, and it's my favorite ending to a game ever, but I love the chaos of Portal 1's ending a lot more than I do the chaos of Portal 2's ending. Portal 2's chaotic ending can be, how would I describe it? It's grandiose. It's a very grandiose, almost Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of moment. Whereas the ending to this game feels like being flooded with information all at once. You've been wanting answers all game as to what's going on, and now you finally got them. The mystery is solved, things are coming forward, you know what's going on now, and then instead of, just slowly feeding you stuff, the game throws everything at you at once. There's these crazy screens, flashing images, the different cores, the different androids, the one that like barks in your face and goes absolutely psychotic. The one that like just reads out cake recipes, and obviously GLaDOS herself losing her mind. It's such an information overload, and I feel like if you were really in a situation like that, and when you're really immersed into the game, that is just an astounding moment to experience. It's overwhelming, but in a really, really good way for an audience member. You don't understand what's going on. You feel you feel yourself being overwhelmed. You feel the anxiety of the moment. You are fully immersed, and you are experiencing, I don't want to say bliss, but like it's in a fantastic way of basically opening the floodgate doors for storytelling and information and lore. And of course, obviously, some of the post-credits stuff that happens in the game too is really interesting. But overall, that's all I have to say about Portal. I plan to have a much longer video about Portal 2 coming very soon, hopefully next week, because I have a lot more feelings on Portal 2, and there's also a lot more to talk about with Portal 2. I can talk about the puzzles and sit here all day and tell you, I love the aesthetic of the game. I like the colors of the portal. I love the way the portal gun feels to use it. I like, the use of the boots and everything. But a lot of why I come back to these games isn't just their gameplay, because they're puzzle games. You use the portals to solve the puzzles. It's about the story and the aesthetic and the performances, and even the music is what brings me back to these games. It's the energy. It's how everything comes together as a whole, not just one part of it. And Portal 1 is just, in my opinion, a fraction of what its sequel is, and is the jumping off point that allows for the sequel to be so good. So that's all I got to say. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys really love this new series I'm doing, and I intend to keep going through lots of different franchises and stuff. I'm hoping after I finish Portal, the next one I'll go through is Jak and Daxter, and I also want to start being able to do this with maybe albums that I liked as a kid, or films that mean something to me. So yeah, more analysis and throwback videos in the future, and I'm super excited to dive into it with all of you. So much love, and again, like, comment, subscribe, follow the channel. Thank you so much for the support. It means a lot. Please share this video with people who you think might like it. It does. The support does mean a lot, and also really, really helps. That's all I got to say. I'm rambling. Thank you all so much, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace and love, everybody. Bye.